Hey folks, Chef Jesse here. Well, how are you today on a Monday? It's kind of cold out there. It's like 30 degrees. It looks like it's gonna snow. I just went outside to the supermarket and it is sprinkling a little bit. So it's a nasty day and there's snow on the ground. And what else? And it's cold. What else on a day like this to eat than a nice soup, right? Now, I've been making soup. I've made chicken soup. I've made onion soup, which is my favorite, and I've made other soups. And today I'm making a Latin soup. It's called Sancocho. It's more like a soup slash stew. It consists of all kind of tropical vegetables. And I don't know how other people make it, but this is the way Chef Jesse makes it. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you step by step how I make this stuff. And it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, but the outcome is terrific. It's good. It's good for a day like this. It's good when you have your bad stomach. I mean, this thing wakes up the dead. I'm telling you. So it consists of a lot of vegetables. It's a lot of stuff involved in it. And I'm going to take you in the beginning how I'm going to start it off, the base of this Sancocho. Okay, so stay with me and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do first. So folks, this Sancocho, this Spanish soup, consists of a lot of tropical vegetables. It's gonna have green bananas. It's going to have plantains. It's going to have some corn on the cob. It's going to have some pumpkin squash. It's going to have some sweet potatoes. It's going to have a bunch of stuff in it. But I'm going to start basically getting the flavor. And what I'm using is pork neck bone to get the flavor, to flavor the water where you start off making the stew, the soup. And I'm going to be boiling for about maybe an hour. I'm going to be boiling these pork neck bones and a whole onion and a whole green pepper. And that's going to be taken out afterwards. But I just want to get the juice and this flavor out of that. So let me show you how I'm doing that. I got this big 6-quart pot, and this pot actually belonged to my grandmother, and it's been passed on to generation to generation, and now I own it. And when I pass on, I'll probably pass it on to my niece, and she better keep it in the family. Anyway, with all that said, I'm using a whole yellow onion in there. Oops, dropped it. I didn't want to do that. And I'm using a green pepper. That's all I'm putting in there. That's very simple. Look at that. That's what starts this whole thing. Okay. And then I have some neck bones here, and I'm gonna slowly pour them in there, and that's all it takes. Okay. Let me get some water out of here because it's gonna overboil. Okay. Let me get there you go. Okay. So that's all it takes. I put some garlic powder in there. I put a little bit of salt, and that's it. Because all I want to do is I want to get the flavor out of those bones and the flavor out of the pepper and the onion, and then I'm going to start putting all my ingredients in, and this is going to take place. I'm going to put my tomato sauce in there. I'm going to put my sofrito. I'm going to put all the ingredients after I boil this for about an hour to get the flavor out of there, okay? So this takes time. It takes about 2 hours to cook, the whole process, and there's a lot of work involved, a lot of chopping of vegetables and all that stuff. And you're gonna be with me doing all that. So stay tuned. Okay, so folks, first of all, I'm gonna be making these I call them Puerto Rican meatballs with no meat. They're actually made from green plantains, and I'm gonna grate the plantain down, and then I'm gonna shape them into little balls, and that's gonna also go into my soup, and it gives it a lot of good flavor. It gives it that plantain plátano flavor. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to peel these green plantains and how I'm going to grate them down, and you're going to be with me watching this. Stay tuned. Okay, for those who've never seen a green plantain, it looks like a green banana, but it's a plantain. You have to cook it. You can't eat this. You can't eat it raw. And eventually, of course, when it ripens, it turns into yellow plantain, what they call maduros, that you can eat. You can eat the green plantain also fried and with a lot of garlic. I like it with garlic. But when it turns yellow, they turn sweet, and they call them maduros, and you order them in Spanish restaurants and stuff like that. So let me show you how I'm going to first start doing this, in case you don't know how to. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm going to cut the tips off. Okay, cut the tips off like that. Oh, okay, with the frozen on the floor. Oh. Okay, wash your hands. Then what you're going to do, you're going to do a split, not all the way down, a split down the line. I usually have a knife which I use especially for stuff like this. And there it goes. Look how easy this peels. Okay, so you peel this back, and you. Sometimes they're easier to peel, sometimes they're not, depending on what stage they're at. And okay, and if you run it under water, it will help you. But once you get a hold of it, you see, once you get a hold of this, you can start peeling this whole thing back. And they're a little pain in the ass, but look at that. See? And it starts to peel. And then you continue doing all of them. Like I said, I'm going to make these, I'm going to grate some of these down. And some I'm going to put sliced up in the Sancocho, which you're going to see that. But there it goes, folks. There goes your plátano. Okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of these graters. Okay? And I'm going to just start grating this. And this is basically what I'm going to do. It's a pain in the ass. Some people probably would do it in a blender or food processor. I don't know how it will come out. But just got to be careful that you don't grate your hand, okay? But this is basically, this is the old-fashioned way. And like I said, it does take a lot of work, but it pays off at the end because it does taste delicious, this stuff. And you can put this in the refrigerator, lasts a couple of days. So there you go. So let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do one for now. I'm going to take this after I have a whole bowl of this stuff made. I'm just going to take this and make it into a ball, right? Similar to a meatball. And don't make them too big because the plantain grows. So you don't want these big, huge. So there you go. If you have a palm sticking, just wet your hands a little bit, moisten your hand. And look at that, it looks like a meatball, right? And then you put it there. And this is stuff is going to go into the Sancocho later on. When I'm done boiling all this stuff for an hour, I'm going to start putting in my vegetables, and this is going to be part of it. So there you go, folks. Look at that. Okay, so I'm going to do about 2 more, and I'm going to do about maybe a dozen of these little balls, and then I'm going to continue, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next with the rest of the vegetables. So you got to stay tuned for that. Okay, folks. So I just finished my plátano little balls there that look like meatballs. I'll show you how they look. So I made about a dozen of them, and I'm going to put this on the side because this is all going into the soup later on when it's all ready. When it's ready, this is all going in. So I'm going to show you how to peel the green. This was green plantain. I'm going to show you how to peel green bananas. Okay, folks. So I did the green plantain, and now I'm going to show you the green bananas. You peel them the same way, and you let me show you the same way. Okay, just cut the tips off. Okay, tips off. I slit down the line. You can use a butter knife or something else. You can use your hand. I use this knife that I have for years, and it helps me out in a lot of things. It's dull, but it really helps out as a butter knife. It helps me out of a lot of things. And there it goes. The green plantains are a little bit easier sometimes to peel, although they could be a pain in the butt. But for the most part, they are a little bit easier to peel. And if you're peeling a lot of these, it's a pain. It's a pain. And wash your hands because this stuff will turn your hand green. Not green, but they'll turn your hands like black. I don't know why. I guess the chemical reaction. Anyway, these I'm going to cut into little wheels, which are going to go into the stew. Okay, I keep calling it stew, soup, sancocho, whatever. But this is what's going to go into the. Okay? So very simple. I'll show you once more how to do that. To cut the tips, slit down the middle. Use your other knife. Okay, if you have a problem, you can run it under cold water also, and it will help you peel it. But I don't usually use the cold water. I just open it up a little bit there, run my hands on, and there you go. Okay, and there you go. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. And if you find yourself with a little bit, just check it at the end. Make sure there's no skin left on it. So you just take it off. And here it goes. Okay, there it goes. It looks like it's coming out. I get it from the bottom. Run your fingers underneath. After this, you got to clean your fingernails, folks. You got to clean your fingernails because this stuff will get under your fingernails, and after a couple of days, you'll see why your fingers are turning green and black and all kind of stuff. It's not good for you. So check it. Make sure that you don't have any skin left in there. You can run your knife like this. See? Make sure. And then, okay, these are going to go into the Sancocho as little wheels, and they get a good flavor in there. And then, okay, so I just put it into this pan here, this dish in it, and I'm going to put all my other stuff into the same dish, and then it'll be ready when I'm ready to dump everything into the Sancocho. So stay tuned for that. Okay, folks, the other thing I'm going to be cutting up now is some pumpkin or squash, I think they call it. In Spanish, they call it calabaza. I'm going to be cutting this up in little squares and this gives it also a good flavor. So this is the calabaza is really kind of hard, so you gotta peel it, and it's kind of pain in the butt. But there it goes. There's the calabaza, right? And I peeled it using a sharp axe. There you go. And I'm gonna just cut it into thick, pieces. Bite size, not bite size, but medium sized pieces, whatever you want to call it. There you go. This is kind of hard, so I like to clean the middle. It's got seeds and stuff like that, so just peel this out like so. Take this out, okay? Make sure that you got no seeds in there, because this stuff has a lot of seeds. So just get and then just chunks, chunks. This is nice, and gives the Sancocho a nice sweetish flavor. And there it goes. And then once more, let me show you. There you go. And I just cut it into pieces. Again, make sure that all this stuff in the middle is out of there. And watch your hands. If you don't know how to handle a knife, this is not the work job for you. You got to really know what you're doing. Handling a knife is the first thing of learning how to cook, and learning how to cut stuff up and all that good stuff. Okay, and again, here we go. I'm taking some of this inner pumpkin out of here, the inner squash in it. There you go. And there you go. Dump that and just cut it into pieces like so. No particular shape or form needed. There you go. And there you go. So I got my green bananas and I got my squash in there, or calabaza, whatever you want to call it. So stay tuned for more. So folks, I did some of those plantains. I made them into little balls, like I said. But now I'm going to use I'm going to make some slices of the plantain as well to add into the Sancocho. Very simple. I showed you before how to peel the plantain, right? And now I'm going to show you the plantain here. This is the plantain, and all I'm going to do is cut it into little wheels, and this is going to go also into the Sancocho. And all this stuff is going to come together to give it a flavor. So I'm cutting them kind of small because they do tend to grow, and that's it. And I put it into my bowl with all my other stuff that I'm going to be putting into the Sancocho, and then stay tuned for the rest. Okay, folks, so my water's been boiling in there with the just basic whole onion, whole green pepper, some garlic powder, some salt, the basics. And now I'm going to taste this liquid. Oh, and some pork neck bones. So I'm going to taste this liquid. All it is water. All it is water with all the stuff on it. So I'm going to taste this. And it's kind of hot. I started this in a 6-quart pot. It's going to overspill, so I have another pot. So when I start putting all the vegetables in there, it's going to overflow. So I have another pot to take care of that. So let me try this. This is delicious. This is delicious with nothing in it but neck bones and pepper and onion. Delicious. Now, people asked me the other day, what's the difference between broth and, what was it? Broth and something else. I forgot. So yeah, so they asked me what's the difference between broth and stock. And basically, stock is when you boil bones and you suck that flavor out of it. That's where you get the stock. And then broth is just out of the meat, flavor from the meat. So right now I'm boiling pork neck bones. So basically I am doing stock. I'm sucking the flavor out of those bones. So a little bit of cooking story there. Anyway, I am going to start putting in all the ingredients to start making this sancocho put together. So stay tuned. So folks, basically I want to get that onion out of there, and I want to get that pepper because I'm going to toss it away. I only used it to get the flavor out of it. So let's go over here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to fish it up. And there it goes. Oh, look at that. One shot. And if it breaks apart, don't worry about it like that. You can dig for it later. But I'm going to dump that. And it's so soft and cooked that it fell apart. So it's in there somewhere. I'm going to take my onion and I'm going to toss it. And people are going to say, oh, but you're tossing it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's going to, the flavor's in there. There goes my other piece of pepper. So the flavor's in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to take sofrito, which is basically green peppers, red peppers, onions, garlic. And you can make this yourself. I don't make it because I don't use it that much. But I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of the sofrito in there. I'm gonna put a can of tomato sauce, and okay. I'm gonna put that can of tomato sauce there. I'm gonna have another pot here with a little, so I'm gonna put the tomato sauce into there. Okay, let me just get some water in there. I like to get every scoop out of that. Okay, I'm gonna take one of these cilantro and achote envelopes made by Sazon, and I'm going to dump it in there. This is going to give it not only flavor but also color. Now I'm going to start getting my vegetables in there. And in here I have yuca, which is called cassava. It's also a tropical vegetable. It's actually a root. I got some sweet potatoes in there. And then I'm going to start putting in the rest of the stuff. Okay, let me put some of that stuff in here. So, okay, so, and then I'm gonna put my little plantain balls in there that I did. I call them the Puerto Rican meatballs, and I made those by grating the green plantains. Okay, I'm gonna put that in there. Okay. I also have some corn that I cut up. I took some corn on the cob and I cut up. Okay, there you go. And then I'm going to add some cilantro. Cilantro gives it a lot of good flavor. I chopped up some cilantro, and there's never enough cilantro. Don't worry about it if it's a lot. It's gonna cook and good. Okay, and then that's it. So there goes. This is the start of my sancocho, and this is it. And okay, so that stuff boiled in there for about an hour, and now I just put in all my vegetables in there, and then I am going to let it come to a second boil, and then I'm going to boil it for another maybe 45 minutes or so to get all that flavor out of there. So folks, there goes your sancocho. Now I'm going to bring this up to a boil. You see, I was talking about the plátano balls. They seem to grow a bit when you put it, so you start over them this morning. So this is what it's looking like. There goes the meat in the bottom, and I added all the vegetables in there, and now I'm going to boil this for maybe another half hour, 45 minutes, make sure everything's cooked. I got my plantains in there, my plantains, my green bananas. I got my meat in there, my squash, which is going to break up, soften up, and make this, thicken this thing up a bit. There goes my corn on the cob, and a little bit spilled over to another pot, so I'm boiling another pot. So there's a pot in about a pot and a quarter, and I'm gonna just mix this around. I'm gonna taste this, make sure it has all the flavor it needs. It should. Let me cool this off. Let me cool this off and taste this. And if it tastes good, then I'm just gonna cover it and let it boil for another, like I said, half hour, 45 minutes. Make sure all the vegetables are cooked through. And here goes this. Look at that smoke. Make sure. It's delicious. All the flavors are coming together, and you get this. I can't even describe it, but you get the cilantro in there. You get all the flavors in there. All these tropical vegetables really giving it a good flavor, and it's just about ready. So what I'm gonna do, it's boiling already. I'm gonna put the cover on, and I'm gonna let it boil there for. I'm gonna let it simmer actually. I'm gonna let it simmer for like a half hour, 45 minutes, and then I'm gonna make some white rice because Gilbert likes eating rice with it, and then dinner should be served. So stay tuned for that. So folks, a recap of what we did today. We made a Sancocho, which is it's a Latin stew like. It's based on a lot of Caribbean tropical vegetables. I used yuca, which is cassava, which is a root. I used green plantains, green bananas. I used some squash, they call it calabaza. I used some sweet potatoes. I used some other vegetables, yautía. I don't know what that is. It grows on the ground. I don't know. But anyway, I used all that stuff to give it flavor. I started out with pork neck bones. I boiled it for about an hour. Green pepper, whole onion in there, and I tossed that out. Left the meat in there, of course, but I tossed out the pepper and the onion just to get the flavor. I added some tomato sauce. I added some cilantro, some sofrito, some salt, pepper, garlic powder, some pepper, and I made this big pot of 6-quart pot of this sancocho, which is like I said, like a soup or stew like slash. And now I added all the vegetables in there, and I'm gonna boil it. I'm gonna let it simmer for about another half hour, and then we should be done for dinner soon. So anyway, folks, this is the video. I have to break this video in two because it's kind of long. So this is the first part of making a sancocho, the basics of making a sancocho. If anybody needs help making a sancocho, you could always send me an email. You can always send me a private message, as people have done, to ask me how to do stuff. If I know, I will help you out. But this, if you watch the video, you'll see how how to make this sancocho Chef Jesse style. Maybe you know how to make it differently. I don't know. Maybe better, maybe worse. I don't know. This is the way I make it, and it comes out good. So if you know better, more power to you. So I'm going to cut this video now because this is kind of long. So I will, in the second video, I'll show you how it comes out and all that good stuff. And of course, I'll show you how it looks at the table because, like always, everything looks good at the table. So I'll see you guys later.